it might be smarter to keep the knife hidden until you're going to use it, or at least draw it more concealed. I'm Andreas, and I'm a former national team MMA fighter with the background from Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In the military, I'm a hand-to-hand combat instructor. And today I'll be reacting to some fight scenes from John Wick. If you're in a home invasion with, I don't know how many opponents he has, is it like 6, 7, 8 opponents? You would have to be highly skilled and trained to even have a chance to survive. My advice would be to get out quick. It starts with him changing his clip, and the noise of a racking pistol carries quite well. So his attacker would probably know his position, especially since he's that close. And also I was wondering why he didn't just shoot the attacker right away. So he might do it because he didn't want to make any noise and take out the guy on the stairs before taking that guy out. So that might be it. He also has a really nice judo throw, which I know he uses quite a bit. And I also know that Keanu Reeves, he trains jiu-jitsu, and it shows. When you're shooting, you want to have a good platform, like a good base with your legs. So jumping onto someone you just shot might not give you the best platform. But luckily for John Wick, he hits his target anyway. You're using the pistol to hit with, and then going for the groin, good idea. And then he does like a BJJ throw out the window, which works in this context, but I would avoid putting myself on the ground in a scenario like this. He's kind of working to get back control. He's positioning his hands really well, and he even goes for like a figure 4 grip on the knife arm, which is a good idea. And then at the end, he also he hits the knife, makes the pressure more sudden and unrhythmic, because a constant pressure is easier to hold the back. But when it comes sudden and unrhythmic, it's more difficult. So that's a good idea from John Wick. His attacker in this scene obviously has some Muay Thai training. He has a nice head kick followed by a low kick. He also has like a push kick in there, or a jumping push kick. And it's a really cool fight scene. But my big question in this scene is, why doesn't he draw his gun earlier in the fight? Because drawing your gun in hand-to-hand fighting is difficult, but a highly trained individual like John Wick should be able to do so. At least he should try to. Yeah, so his opponent, he fights kind of like it's a Muay Thai sparring session, where he kind of push kicks him, he falls on the floor, and he kind of just stands there, lets him get back up, and then continues fighting. But in hand-to-hand, you would probably just, if you push kick someone on their back, they would just keep coming at you and try to end the fight quickly. If you're in that situation and you're on your back, you would have to have a good defensive position on the floor with your leg up, or maybe one leg up, defend your head and stuff. And then you would have to see what your opponent is doing. If he's allowing you time, then get back up fast. If he's coming at you, then you would have to just improvise. Being on your back on the ground is never a good idea in hand-to-hand fighting. I don't understand why they're both kind of showing each other that they have a knife before they start fighting. Maybe it's like a gentleman's agreement in their environment, I don't know. But it might be smarter to keep the knife hidden until you're going to use it, or at least draw it more concealed. What the attacker does with the knee to the knife is a pretty nice move, but once the attacker would get the stab, he would most likely use that momentum and continue his attack. But in this scene, they're both in a kind of a stalemate. They're just kind of standing there holding each other. But then John Wick gets the momentum. Yeah, so fighting in smaller areas, it doesn't allow either combatant any maneuver to move around. They're both more stuck to fighting really close, which is why I'm saying that in a scenario like a subway, if there's knives involved, there will be quite a few stabbings. Well, if you have more space, then you can move around and maybe even run away. But on a subway, you don't have that opportunity. Blocking a knife is very difficult. If you're ever in a knife fight, you should be prepared you're gonna be stabbed. Because in movies, it looks pretty simple to just kind of block and do that stuff. But if someone wants to get you, they will get you. If you have the opportunity, you should run. Yeah, so the first thing I notice in this one is the way he's getting attacked. And kind of like in the last clip, if someone wants to get you with a knife, you probably won't know about the knife until it's too late. He would be stabbed a couple of times before he would even be able to respond. And this would reduce his effectiveness in the fight. And then he also goes for like throat and the groin, which is smart. But then what happens is that the attacker loses the knife. And then they kind of just both forget about the knife. But a realistic fight, if there's a knife involved, then after someone loses the knife, the fight is now about recapturing the knife. Because whoever gets the knife will have a high chance of winning the fight. But in this scenario, they just kind of forget about it and keep fighting. But for theatric purposes, I can see that they do it because it makes it more interesting. And then the way he ends the fight is badass and entertaining. But taking his back and choking him out would be the most effective way to end the fight. Belt versus knife is a really bad choice. If someone really wants to get you, they won't be stopped by you throwing your belt after them. And you can see the attackers kind of go in, get hit with the belt, go out, and that would never happen. And then he kind of ties his arms to the belt to use it, but what he is really doing is removing his opportunity to use his arms freely. So, but then again, it's John Wick, and he gets the job done anyways. And I notice his positioning. He sometimes gives, like, even though he's fighting one person, he still has his back towards the other person instead of fighting against one person with the other person behind whoever you're fighting, which would be ideal. But I've seen this in other clips as well, where he's fighting, but he's fighting one person, and that's fine. But then he's fighting him while keeping his back to other opponents, which is never a good idea. But I would never advise anyone to use a belt against knife attackers. To be honest, I've never watched John Wick before. From what I've seen today and from other action movies I've seen, John Wick is some of the better fighting I've seen in like Hollywood movies. I also know that Keanu Reeves does jiu-jitsu, so they obviously have some experts in advising the movies to make them more call it realistic, but he does have some improvement. He should do less flashy stuff and more effective stuff would be my biggest advice to John Wick.
For more videos like this one, make sure to check out our playlist for expert reacts or our review for John Wick 4.